The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the Zixilarian fleet. Thousands of ships, each a marvel of technology, floated silently in the dark void. But something was wrong. Very wrong. Commander Zixilor stood on the bridge of the mothership, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in distress. The large, blue-skinned alien paced back and forth, his tentacle-like fingers twitching nervously. "Status report," he barked, his voice echoing through the cavernous command center. A younger Zixilarian, Officer Kix, turned from her console. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Commander, our navigation systems are still offline. We've lost all sense of direction." Zixilor's facial tendrils drooped. This was bad. Very bad. Their fleet, carrying millions of Zixilarians, had left their homeworld in search of new planets to colonize. But now, they were hopelessly lost in an unknown part of the galaxy. "How long can we survive on our current resources?" Zixilor asked, dreading the answer. Officer Trill, in charge of life support, consulted her screens. "At our current rate, we have enough food and water for 3 Earth months. After that," her voice trailed off, but everyone knew what she meant. After that, they would slowly starve to death. Zixilor looked out at the sea of stars. Somewhere out there was the path home, but without their navigation systems, it was like looking for a specific grain of sand on a beach. Impossible. "Keep trying to restart the navigation systems," he ordered, "and send out distress signals on all frequencies. Maybe someone will hear us." As the crew rushed to obey, Zixilor felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. Millions of lives depended on him finding a solution. He thought of all the families on board, the children who might never see their homeworld again. He couldn't let them down. Days passed, turning into weeks. The fleet drifted aimlessly through space, hope diminishing with each passing hour. The Zixilarians were an advanced race, capable of faster-than-light travel and incredible feats of engineering. But now, all that technology was useless. Zixilor spent every waking moment trying to find a solution. He pored over star charts, trying to identify any familiar constellations. He worked with the engineering team, attempting to jury-rig a makeshift navigation system, but nothing worked. The mood on the ships grew darker. Fights broke out as fear and frustration took hold. Zixilor had to send security teams to break up riots in the residential sectors. Food rationing began, adding to the tension. One day, as Zixilor sat in his private quarters, staring at a holographic map of the known galaxy, his door chime rang. "Enter," he said wearily. It was Kix, the young navigation officer. She looked nervous but determined. "Commander," she said, "I have an idea. It's unconventional, but it might be our only hope." Zixilor gestured for her to continue. "We've been sending out distress signals on all known frequencies used by spacefaring races," Kix explained. "But what if we try something different? What if we send out a signal on the most basic frequency possible?" Zixilor frowned. But no advanced civilization would be listening on such a primitive band. Kix nodded. "Exactly. But what if there's a young civilization out there, just starting to explore space? They might pick up our signal." It was a long shot, Zixilor knew. The chances of a young race being able to help them were slim. But at this point, any chance was better than none. "Do it," he ordered. And so, the Zixilarian fleet began broadcasting a new signal, a simple, repeating pattern of pulses that any species with basic radio technology could detect. Days passed, then weeks. Hope began to fade once more. Zixilor found himself standing on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He thought about his people, about their long history of exploration and discovery. Was this how it would end? Lost and alone in the vastness of space. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Zixilor rushed to the bridge. "Report," he shouted as he burst through the doors. Officer Kix turned to him, her eyes wide with excitement. "Commander, we're receiving a response to our signal." Zixilor felt his heart's race. "From who?" Where? Kix worked her console furiously. It's coming from a small blue planet in a nearby system. The signal is primitive but clear. On the main screen, a message appeared. It was in no language Zixlor had ever seen before, but the universal translator quickly decoded it. Unknown fleet, this is Earth Space Command. We have received your distress signal. How can we assist? For the first time in months, Zixlor felt a glimmer of hope. He didn't know who these Earthlings were or if they could truly help, but it was a chance for survival. Respond immediately, he ordered. Tell them we need their help. As the message was sent, Zixlor looked out at his fleet. Maybe, just maybe, they had found their salvation in the most unexpected place. The adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the Earth space exploration vessel, Curiosity. Her dark eyes scanned the vast expanse of space before her, a mix of excitement and nervousness coursing through her veins. The ship's bridge hummed with activity as her crew worked tirelessly at their stations. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications console, "we're still receiving that strange signal. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered before." Sarah nodded, her short black hair bobbing with the movement. "Keep monitoring it, Rodriguez. Any luck decoding the message?" "Not yet, Captain. But it's definitely not random noise. There's a pattern to it." Sarah turned to her science officer, Dr. Emily Sato. "What do you think, Emily? Could it be, aliens?" Dr. Sato adjusted her glasses, a habit she had when deep in thought. "It's possible, Captain. The signal is coming from a region of space we haven't explored yet, and its complexity suggests an intelligence behind it." The idea sent a shiver of excitement through the crew. Humanity had been searching for signs of extraterrestrial life for centuries. Could this be the moment they'd all been waiting for? "All right," Sarah said, her voice firm with decision. "Let's go check it out. Helmsman, set a course for the signal's origin. Maximum warp." The Curiosity shot forward, stars streaking past as it entered warp speed. The journey took several days, during which the crew prepared for every possible scenario. They ran drills, checked and rechecked their equipment, and speculated endlessly about what they might find. Finally, they arrived at the coordinates of the signal source. What they saw left them speechless. "My God," whispered Sarah as she stared at the main view screen. Before them floated an enormous fleet of ships, unlike anything humans had ever built. They were sleek, almost organic in design, with pulsing lights running along their hulls. But despite their advanced appearance, the ships seemed lifeless. They drifted aimlessly, as if lost. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Sato checked her readings. "Millions, Captain. But they're weak. Whatever species is on those ships, they're in trouble." Sarah took a deep breath. This was it. The moment that would go down in human history. First contact with an alien species. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's see if we can communicate." Lieutenant Rodriguez worked his console. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting on all frequencies." Sarah straightened her uniform and spoke clearly. "Unknown fleet, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth space exploration vessel Curiosity. We've received your distress signal. How can we assist?" For a long moment, there was silence. Then, suddenly, the view screen lit up with an image that made the entire crew gasp. A large blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes and tentacle-like fingers appeared on the screen. When it spoke, its words were translated into English by the ship's computer. "Greetings, Captain Chen of Earth," the alien said, its voice deep and resonant. "I am Commander Zixlor of the Zixlarian fleet. We are in dire need of help." Sarah nodded, trying to keep her composure despite her racing heart. "We're here to help, Commander. Can you tell us what happened?" Zixlor explained their situation, how their navigation systems had failed, leaving them stranded in unknown space with dwindling resources. As Sarah listened, her mind raced. The Zixilarian ships were far more advanced than anything humans had. How could they possibly help? But then she remembered an old saying her father, also a space captain, used to tell her, "Sometimes, the simplest solutions are the best." "Commander Zixilor," Sarah said, an idea forming in her mind. "Your ships may be more advanced than ours, but we have something you don't right now. We know where we are. What if we guide you to a safe place where we can work together to fix your navigation systems?" Zixilor's facial tendrils quivered in what Sarah hoped was a positive response. You would do this for us? For a species you've just met?" Sarah smiled. "That's what explorers do, Commander. We help each other. Besides, I have a feeling this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship between our peoples." As the human crew began coordinating with the Zixilarians, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for so long, the day they'd reach out to the stars and find they weren't alone. And now, they had a chance not just to meet aliens, but to help them in their time of need. The rescue mission was just beginning, and it would test the limits of human ingenuity and compassion. But as Sarah looked at her determined crew and the grateful aliens on the screen, she knew one thing for certain. This was going to be one hell of an adventure. The space between the human ship Curiosity and the massive Zixilarian fleet crackled with tension and excitement. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the airlock, her heart pounding. She was about to become the first human to set foot on an alien spacecraft. "Remember," Dr. Emily Sato said, adjusting Sarah's spacesuit one last time. "Their atmosphere is similar to ours, but slightly denser. You might feel a little lightheaded at first." Sarah nodded, taking a deep breath. "Understood. Let's make history." The airlock hissed open, and Sarah stepped into the docking tube connecting the two ships. She floated across, propelled by gentle jets of air. At the other end, a circular door slid open, revealing the interior of the Zixilarian mothership. Sarah's first thought was how alien everything looked. The walls seemed to pulse with a soft bioluminescent light. The air felt thick, almost like breathing underwater. And the smells, a mix of something like ozone and sweet fruit, were unlike anything she'd experienced before. Then she saw them. A group of Zixilarians, led by Commander Zixilor, waited to greet her. Up close, they were even more impressive. Towering at nearly 8 feet tall, their blue skin shimmered with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change. "Welcome aboard, Captain Chen," Zixilor said, his voice a deep rumble that Sarah felt in her chest. "We are grateful for your assistance." Sarah removed her helmet, blinking as she adjusted to the new atmosphere. "The pleasure is ours, Commander. Humanity has dreamed of this moment for centuries." As they walked through the ship, Sarah couldn't help but marvel at the technology around her. Holographic displays floated in midair, and doors opened with just a thought from the Zixilarians. "Your ship is incredible," Sarah said, trying to take it all in. "I'm not sure how we can help with such advanced systems." Zixilor's facial tendrils drooped slightly. "Our technology may be advanced, but it has failed us when we needed it most. Perhaps your people's different perspective might see something we've missed." They arrived at the ship's control center, a vast room filled with swirling holographic star maps and pulsing energy readouts. Sarah's team of engineers, led by Chief Engineer Mike Foster, was already there, working alongside the Zixilarian technicians. Mike looked up as they entered, his face a mix of frustration and awe. "Captain, this tech is like nothing we've ever seen. It's going to take time to understand it, let alone fix it." Sarah nodded, then turned to Zixilor. "Commander, I have a suggestion. Instead of trying to fix your navigation systems right away, what if we focus on getting your fleet to a safe location first? We can guide you to a nearby star system we've been exploring. It has several habitable planets where your people can rest and recover while we work on the repairs." Zixilor's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a gesture Sarah was beginning to recognize as surprise. You would share your discoveries with us, just like that. Of course, Sarah said with a smile. That's what friends do. And I hope that's what our species can become, friends. For a moment, Zixlor was silent. Then, to Sarah's amazement, a sound like chiming bells filled the air. It took her a second to realize the alien commander was laughing. Captain Chen, Zixlor said, his voice warm with emotion, in all our travels, we have never encountered a species so quick to offer help to strangers. You humble us with your generosity. As the human and Zixlarian crews began working together to plan their journey, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. This was more than just a rescue mission now. It was the beginning of an interstellar friendship. But challenges lay ahead. As Sarah watched Mike and his team struggle with the alien technology, she knew they had a long road ahead. And in the back of her mind, a worry nagged at her. What if they couldn't fix the Zixlarian ships? What if Earth became home to millions of stranded aliens? She pushed the thought aside. One step at a time, she told herself. First, get the fleet to safety. Then tackle the bigger problems. As the day wore on, humans and Zixlarians worked side by side, learning to communicate, to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. It wasn't always easy. Cultural misunderstandings led to a few tense moments, but the shared goal of survival kept everyone focused. By the time Sarah returned to the Curiosity, she was exhausted but exhilarated. She looked out at the vast Zixlarian fleet, now preparing to follow her small ship to safety. Well, she said to no one in particular, I guess we're about to put E.T. phone home to shame. With a quiet hum, the Curiosity's engines came to life. The great journey was about to begin. The journey to the nearby star system was slow and tense. The massive Zixlarian fleet, guided by the tiny human ship Curiosity, moved through space like a herd of cosmic elephants led by a mouse. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the view screen, watching for any signs of trouble. How are we doing, Mike? Sarah asked over the comm. Chief Engineer Mike Foster's voice crackled back, tinged with frustration. It's like trying to understand quantum physics by looking at a toaster, Captain. This Zixlarian tech is way beyond us. Sarah sighed. They had been working on the alien navigation systems for days now, with little progress. The human engineers were struggling to understand technology that seemed to operate on principles they had never even imagined. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. Captain, Lieutenant Rodriguez called out. We're picking up multiple unidentified vessels approaching fast. Sarah's heart raced. Hail the Zixlarian mothership. We need to warn them. Commander Zixler's face appeared on the screen, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in what Sarah now recognized as a sign of distress. We see them, Captain Chen. These are Vreknor ships, scavengers who prey on disabled vessels. They must have detected our distress signal. Sarah's mind raced. The Zixlarian fleet was practically defenseless without their navigation systems, and the Curiosity was no match for multiple hostile ships. They needed a plan, and fast. Commander, Sarah said, an idea forming. Your ships may not be able to navigate, but can they still fire weapons? Zixlor's facial tendrils twitched in surprise. Yes, but without proper targeting systems, we'd be firing blindly. What if we guide your shots? Sarah suggested. We can use the Curiosity's sensors to target the Vreknor ships and relay the coordinates to you. For a moment, Zixlor was silent. Then his voice filled with determination. He said, it could work, but the coordination would need to be perfect. Sarah turned to her crew. You heard the commander. Let's show these aliens what humans can do. Rodriguez, you're on communications. Dr. Sato, I need you to work with the Zixlarian scientists to translate our targeting data into their systems. Mike, get back up here. I need your help coordinating this crazy plan. The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity. As the Vreknor ships approached, humans and Zixlarians worked together in a desperate race against time. The first Vreknor ship came into range, its weapons charging. Now, Sarah shouted. A beam of energy shot out from one of the Zixlarian ships. Guided by the Curiosity's targeting data, it struck the Vreknor ship dead center, causing it to explode in a brilliant flash of light. It worked, Mike exclaimed, a grin spreading across his face. But there was no time to celebrate. More Vreknor ships were closing in. For the next hour, the space around them turned into a deadly light show. The Curiosity danced between the massive Zixlarian ships, dodging enemy fire while relaying targeting data. Sarah's hands gripped her chair tightly as another blast rocked the ship. Damage report, she called out. Shields at 30%, Captain, Rodriguez replied. We can't take much more of this. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, Dr. Seto's voice cut through the chaos. Captain, I think I'd figured something out about their navigation system. Sarah's head snapped around. What is it? It's not broken, Seto explained quickly. It's evolved. The system is partly biological. It's not responding because it's in a state of shock. Mike's eyes widened in realization. Like a computer with a virus. We don't need to fix it. We need to reboot it. As another Vreknor ship exploded nearby, Sarah made a decision. Do it. Whatever you need to do. Just get those navigation systems back online. While the battle raged on, Sato and Mike worked frantically with their Zixlarian counterparts. They weren't just dealing with complex technology now, but with a living system that needed to be carefully revived. Minutes felt like hours as Sarah coordinated the defense, praying that Sato and Mike would succeed before it was too late. Suddenly, a cheer erupted from the engineering section. We did it, Mike's voice shouted over the comm. The Zixlarian systems are coming back online. As if awakening from a long slumber, the Zixlarian fleet began to move with purpose. Their weapons, now guided by their own systems, made short work of the remaining Vreknor ships. As the last enemy vessel fled, a stunned silence fell over the Curiosity's bridge. Then, slowly, it was replaced by cheers and laughter. Sarah leaned back in her chair, a mixture of relief and pride washing over her. They had done it. Humans and Zixlarians, working together, had overcome impossible odds. But as she looked out at the stars, Sarah knew their journey was far from over. They had won the battle, but greater challenges and opportunities lay ahead. The news of the Human-Zixlarian alliance spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the days following the battle with the Vreknor, the Curiosity's communication systems were flooded with messages from various alien species. Some were curious, others concerned, and a few were openly hostile. Captain Sarah Chen sat in her ready room, her head spinning as she tried to make sense of the sudden influx of galactic politics. Commander Zixler's holographic image hovered above her desk, his expression grave. I fear our alliance has stirred up a hornet's nest, Captain, Zixler said, his tentacle fingers twisting nervously. Many species view humans as a potential threat now. Sarah frowned. But why? We only defended ourselves and helped you. Surely that's not a crime in galactic society. Zixler's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. You must understand, Sarah. Humans were unknown variables until now. Your quick mastery of our technology and your willingness to fight have made many uncomfortable. Before Sarah could respond, her comm badge chirped. Captain, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through. We're receiving a priority message from Earth. It's the United Nations Security Council. Sarah exchanged a worried glance with Zixler. Put it through, she said. The holographic image split, and the stern face of the UN Secretary-General appeared alongside Zixler. Captain Chen, he said, his voice tense, we've received reports of your encounter. The Security Council is concerned about the potential consequences of your actions. Sarah straightened in her chair. With all due respect, sir, we couldn't just leave an entire species to die. And when we were attacked. We understand the humanitarian aspect, Captain, the Secretary-General interrupted. But your actions have put Earth in a difficult position. We're now targets in a galactic political game we barely understand. As if to underscore his point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Dr. Seto's voice came over the comm. Captain, we're detecting multiple wormholes opening nearby. Ships are coming through. Lots of ships. Sarah's heart raced as she rushed to the bridge, the holograms of Zixlor and the Secretary General following her. The view screen showed a terrifying sight. Dozens of alien vessels, all of different designs, surrounding the human Zixlarian fleet. We're being hailed, Rodriguez reported, his voice shaking slightly. On screen, Sarah ordered, trying to keep her own voice steady. The view screen filled with the image of a creature unlike any Sarah had seen before. It had multiple eye stalks and a beak-like mouth. When it spoke, its voice was like grating metal. I am High Counselor Krex of the Galactic Confederation, the alien said. Your unsanctioned alliance and use of advanced weaponry have violated numerous galactic treaties. You will power down your ships and prepare to be boarded. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. She looked at Zixlor's hologram, seeing her own fear reflected in his alien features. Then she glanced at the Secretary General, who looked equally lost. In that moment, Sarah realized that the fate of not just her crew, but possibly all of humanity, rested on her next words. She took a deep breath and stepped forward. High Counselor Krex, she said, her voice firm despite her racing heart. I am Captain Sarah Chen of Earth. We meant no offense to galactic law. Our actions were born of necessity and compassion, not aggression. Krex's eye stalks wobbled, a gesture Sarah couldn't interpret. Pretty words, human. But actions speak louder. Your species was deemed too primitive for contact, yet here you are, commanding advanced weapons. We did not seek this situation, Sarah countered. We answered a distress call, as any compassionate species would. When attacked, we defended ourselves. If these actions violate your laws, then perhaps your laws need reassessing. A murmur ran through the bridge at Sarah's bold words. Even Zixlor looked shocked. But Sarah pressed on. High Counselor, instead of threats, why not use this opportunity for dialogue? Humans are new to the galactic stage, yes. But we bring fresh perspectives, innovation, and a genuine desire for peaceful cooperation. Give us a chance to prove ourselves as valuable members of the galactic community. For a long moment, silence reigned. Sarah held her breath, aware that the next few seconds could determine the future of human-alien relations. Finally, Krex spoke. Your words are intriguing, Captain Chen. Perhaps there is more to humans than we initially believed. We will convene a special session of the Galactic Council to discuss this matter. In the meantime, your fleet will be escorted to neutral space. As the transmission ended, Sarah let out a shaky breath. They had avoided immediate conflict, but the real challenge was just beginning. Humanity was about to enter the complex world of galactic politics, ready or not. She turned to her crew, seeing a mix of fear and determination on their faces. Well, she said with a wry smile, I guess we're going to need a crash course in intergalactic diplomacy. Let's hope we're quick learners. The neutral space where the human Zixlarian fleet was held buzzed with tension. Days had passed since their encounter with the Galactic Confederation, and resources were running dangerously low. Captain Sarah Chen paced the bridge of the Curiosity, her mind racing with worry. Status report, she barked, more sharply than she intended. Dr. Seto looked up from her console, dark circles under her eyes. It's not good, Captain. The Zixlarian ships are struggling to maintain life support. We've got maybe 48 hours before systems start failing. Sarah's heart sank. They had come so far, overcome so much. She couldn't let it end like this. Options, she asked, looking around at her exhausted crew. Chief Engineer Mike Foster spoke up, his voice rough from lack of sleep. There might be a way, Captain, but it's risky as hell. I'm all ears, Mike, Sarah said, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Mike pulled up a holographic display of the Zixlarian mothership. Their main reactor is unlike anything we've seen. It's not just powerful, it's adaptable. If we could restart it and reconfigure it to support the entire fleet, we might buy ourselves more time. Commander Zixlor, who had been listening via hologram, chimed in. It's too dangerous. The reactor core is highly unstable. Attempting to restart it could cause a chain reaction that would destroy not just our fleet, but your ship as well. Sarah closed her eyes, weighing the options: certain death if they did nothing, or a slim chance of survival with a high risk. When she opened her eyes, there was a fierce determination in them. "We didn't come this far to give up now," she said firmly. "Mike, assemble a team. You're going over to the mothership." The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Mike and a small team of engineers, both human and Sixlarian, shuttled over to the alien mothership. Sarah watched from the Curiosity's bridge as they disappeared into the massive vessel. "Comms check." Mike's voice came through, tinny and distant. "We're approaching the reactor core now. Wow. It's like nothing I've ever seen." Sarah leaned forward in her chair. "Remember, Mike, slow and steady. We've only got one shot at this." As the team worked, Sarah felt the weight of every second ticking by. The lives of millions of aliens and her own crew hung in the balance. She thought of Earth, of the UN Security Council, of the watching eyes of the Galactic Confederation. So much was riding on this desperate gamble. Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. "Captain," Rodriguez shouted, "we're detecting a massive energy spike from the mothership." Sarah's blood ran cold. "Mike, report." Static crackled over the comm. Then Mike's voice, strained and breathless. "The core, it's destabilizing. We can't contain it." Without hesitation, Sarah jumped to her feet. "Beam them out now." "We can't," Seto cried. "The energy interference is too strong." Sarah made a split-second decision. "Zixlor," she called to the alien commander's hologram, "I need control of your ship's systems. Now." Zixlor hesitated for only a moment before his tentacle fingers danced across an unseen console. "Done. You have full access, Captain." Sarah raced to the engineering station, her fingers flying over the alien controls. Years of training and intuition guided her as she rerouted power, adjusted shield frequencies, and did a dozen other things she barely understood. On the view screen, the Sixlarian mothership glowed brighter and brighter, energy arcing across its hull. Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing the alien systems to their limits and beyond. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, the glow stabilized. The alarms fell silent. For a moment, everything was still. Then Mike's voice, weak but triumphant, came through. "We did it, Captain. The core is stable. It's working better than ever." A cheer went up across the bridge. Sarah slumped in her chair, exhausted but elated. They had done the impossible. Again. As systems across the Sixlarian fleet came back online, powered by the newly stabilized reactor, Sarah looked out at the stars. She thought of the challenges they had faced, the bonds they had formed, and the future that now lay open before them. The Galactic Council would still need to be faced. Earth and humanity would have to find their place in this vast, complex universe. But in this moment, Sarah knew one thing for certain. Together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. "Well done, everyone," she said softly, a smile playing on her lips. "Let's go home." As the fleet prepared to move, Sarah couldn't help but feel that this wasn't an end, but a beginning. Humanity's greatest adventure was just getting started. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with excitement and tension. Beings from 1,000 worlds filled the tiered seats, their eyes fixed on the central platform where Captain Sarah Chen stood alongside Commander Zixlor. The human captain looked small next to the towering alien, but her posture radiated confidence. High Counselor Krex's eye stalks swiveled as he addressed the assembly. "We are here to decide the fate of humanity and their alliance with the Sixlarians. Captain Chen, you may speak." Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward. Esteemed members of the Council, she began, her voice clear and strong. I stand before you not just as a representative of Earth, but as a symbol of what can be achieved when different species work together. She gestured to Zixlor. When we found the Zixlarian fleet stranded and in danger, we didn't hesitate to help. Not because of any treaty or obligation, but because it was the right thing to do. That's who we are, as humans. A murmur ran through the crowd. Sarah pressed on. Yes, we're young. Yes, we have much to learn about the galaxy. But we also have much to offer. Our creativity, our adaptability, our unwavering spirit in the face of challenges. These are the qualities that allowed us to save millions of Zixlarian lives. Zixlor stepped forward, his tentacle fingers moving in elegant gestures as he spoke. The humans' actions speak louder than any words. They risked everything to save us, asking nothing in return. If that is not the mark of a species worthy of joining our galactic community, then I do not know what is. High Counselor Krex's beak-like mouth clicked thoughtfully. Your words are passionate, but passion does not negate the potential danger. Humans have shown themselves capable of wielding advanced technology with alarming speed. How can we be sure they won't become a threat? Sarah smiled. With all due respect, Counselor, isn't that true of any species? The potential for good or ill exists in all of us. What matters is the choices we make. And humanity chooses cooperation, exploration, and mutual growth. She turned, addressing the entire assembly. We don't ask for special treatment. We ask for a chance to learn, to contribute, to be part of something greater than ourselves. Isn't that the very foundation of this Galactic Council? The hall fell silent as the council members considered her words. Sarah held her breath, acutely aware that the future of humanity hung in the balance. Finally, a tall, willowy alien with iridescent skin stood up. I am Ambassador Xyra of the Luminary, she said, her voice melodious. My people were once in a similar position, young, eager, seen as potentially dangerous. Yet we were given a chance, and look at us now. I say we extend the same opportunity to humans. One by one, other council members voiced their agreement. Even those who had been skeptical began to nod, swayed by Sarah's words and the support of respected members. High Counselor Krex raised his appendages for silence. It seems the council has reached a consensus. Captain Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I officially welcome humanity into our ranks. The hall erupted in cheers. Sarah felt a wave of relief and joy wash over her. She turned to Zixlor, who was making the sound she now recognized as laughter. Well done, Sarah, the alien commander said warmly. You've not only saved my people, but opened a new chapter for yours. As the formalities concluded, Sarah found herself surrounded by curious aliens, all eager to learn more about Earth and its people. She answered their questions with patience and enthusiasm, already beginning to build the bridges of understanding that would define humanity's role in the galaxy. Later, as she stood by a large window overlooking the glittering expanse of the alien city, Sarah reflected on the incredible journey that had led to this moment. From a routine space exploration mission to saving an alien fleet to standing before the Galactic Council, it all seemed like a dream. Her comm badge chirped, and Mike's voice came through. Captain, you're not going to believe this. The Zixlarians want to establish a permanent embassy on Earth, and at least a dozen other species have expressed interest in opening diplomatic relations. Sarah laughed, shaking her head in wonder. Well, Mike, I guess we've got our work cut out for us. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. As she looked out at the stars, Sarah felt a sense of limitless possibility. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and the adventures were just beginning. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that with cooperation, courage, and compassion, there was nothing they couldn't achieve. The rescue of a stranded alien fleet had become the catalyst for a new era of galactic cooperation, and Sarah Chen, once just the captain of a small exploration vessel, now stood at the forefront of humanity's greatest adventure.